Glenn, we're here in Vancouver, BC, and we're at the Blue Horizon on Robson Street. That's the Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. And thank you very much, Glenn, for taking me to meet my good friend Eric from the Animals, Eric Burton. And it was nice seeing him. We worked together about 50 years ago. Eric was a young man from England, and I was a young man from Seattle, Washington. I think I was around 25 years old. I'll be 73 on March 2 coming up, and I'm still alive. So it's interesting, and it's neat to be able to say that, and then have the memories of some of the bands that I presented in here in Vancouver, BC. I worked here at the P&E, which is the fairgrounds out on the side of town, and then at the Orpheum Theater and at the Queen Elizabeth Theater. I remember doing Moody Blues at the Queen Elizabeth Theater. Jason from Moody Blues, I brought in Oriental rugs and put them on the stage, and then I got all the candles I could buy in town. So and then I put the show on early rather than the evening, because the Moody Blues, to me, I kind of believed it myself as kind of a promoter of music, but I like being on the artistic side, where I do things a little differently than some people. So I did an early show versus a later show. And so people really got a kick out of that. And then some people brought their young, like young children, or children that were studying music or knew about music. And Moody Blues had a song called Nights in White Satin. It was a very, very important song. And then I took them to Edmonton, and I took them to some other places in Canada. I not only just promoted here in Vancouver, BC, but it was an interesting time. I sold my tickets down at Hudson Bay store downtown here in Vancouver, and Hugh Pickett ran the ticket agency with his friend, I think it was Ron McDougall. And over a course of about 6 years, 5-6 years, I probably made, in fact, Hugh told me one day, I made about $100,000 off of you selling your tickets. And then he introduced me to a lot of people here in town, also because he had been impresario himself. He was more in the classical end of things, but so I wasn't any competition to him. In fact, when I came in town, I don't think I had any competition, because I was in the beginning. My mentor was Bill Graham, and I spent a lot of time at the original Fillmore, and then I was there with Bill when he was with the San Francisco Mime Troupe and the committee, which was down in North Beach area. And then we did some of the original stuff out in the park, the Love-Ins and the Be-Ins. But the cool thing is Vancouver, there was always just a wonderful feeling about Vancouver. I used to take the bands down to High's restaurant, Old Man High, Heiseth, I think was his name. His son now owns Joe Forte's and owns the Keg and a few other things. But the father, he had the checkerboard stuff on the tables. And what I would do is I made a deal with him after his restaurant closed. Let's say I had a show sold out at the P&E, and I had an extra $10,000 on me, which was a lot of money in the 60s or whatever. Otherwise, my shows always paid for themselves, and the artists all got paid, and everybody had a smile, and there was a lot of love spread around. And then, of course, we all had our doobies, and I mean, even in Canada, you have to be careful. It wasn't like you're out there trying to make an issue of it, like this current times now in Seattle, Washington today. You can smoke anywhere you want, and in fact, there's a couple. Well, everybody knows about the current times. So I'm kind of talking a little bit about the past. And so I'm up here in Vancouver, BC, meeting with Alfonso and Jeffrey and my friend Glenn, who's just putting out a new album, and we're talking to people about that. And then Glenn's been orchestrating, putting together a kind of a variety show that he wants to create. That's where we're talking to these filmmakers, and then we've got some actors and actresses and other musicians. And then I did some people like Dionne Warwick, which is more mainstream type thing, or what you call all over the road, as far as the audience. And fun city, and there's a lot of really creative people here, very stylish city. Anyway, then I did Hugh Masekela, It's a Beautiful Day, Janis Joplin, Jefferson Airplane, Jethro Tull, and then my good friend Jimi Hendrix. And Glenn yesterday met with Johnny Hendrix, who's a son of Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix has different children around the world and as well as in the States, and so it's Glenn's kind of been keeping track of that, and then the variety show is going to be kind of like an Ed Sullivan, like the old Ed Sullivan, where he put the Beatles on the show. He put a lot of interesting people on his show, the Rolling Stones. So I'm going to be the new Ed Sullivan. Anyway, today we're sitting here, and all the oil tankers are out. There must be 20, at least 20 oil tankers out here. So there's a lot of money being made here in Canada. And we're probably going to do the show right here in Canada. And I have a good friend in Toronto. We'll be in Montreal and Quebec, and we'll hit the Calgary for the rodeo. Like, we'll have cowboys on our show and cowgirls, and we'll have one part of the show where we'll have animals on the show. It's a variety show, and so and then we'll raise money. Our show is going to have a lot to do with charity, and then there's some wonderful radio DJs that are still alive, and there's a lot of musicians that are still alive, like my friend Robert Plant. That Led Zeppelin are going to go out again here in the very near future. A lot of the bands are going out right now again in 2013, 14, and 15, because it's 50 years later, and it's what they call the Jubilee. That's just a terminology. And so I'll celebrate the Jubilee on my show quite a bit, because Jimmy Page and all these people are going to want to come on my show. And Eric's already decided he wants to be on it. And he's the blues. And then I dealt with John Mayall and the Blues Breakers, and John Mark and Johnny Allman. I did an album with them. They left the Blues Breakers, and I put the money up, and that wasn't for free. I had to put $25,000 up in 1970 to do the album that John Mark and Johnny Allman done, and that was with Bob Krasnow, Blue Thumb Records, and he paid me back. He wrote me a check once I had the record in the can. He then wrote me a check, so at least I broke even. But I had a good time. And then my assistant, Dennis Lunder, he got to go live in London and hang out with real people. But then I got to go over there and meet everybody at the Marquee Club and the Bag of Nails. And then I hung out with some pretty interesting people there in London, which I'll get into another day. So anyway, it's nice being here on the deck, and Glenn's a pleasure to be with. And he goes by Malachi. He has a very interesting music right now that he's put out that's based on the book of Genesis, and you'll be hearing a lot about that, and he'll be on the show, and he's creating a musical, kind of in the arena of Roger Waters. What Roger Waters did when he left Pink Floyd, he decided to go out and do The Wall. Well, he had to get real creative. Well, he made it work. All we want to be is about a tenth of The Wall or a fourth of The Wall. We'd love to be half of what The Wall was, but we are going in that direction. Well, and it'll have some very interesting things, because religion is something that a lot of people are facing today, and a lot of people are dealing with religion. In fact, we're going to be going down to a church right down the street here today. We're meeting somebody, and we're going to be meeting the pastor, and Glenn's going to be talking to him, and we'll probably end up doing parts of the show in different places as far as Glenn's show. So we'll have a title for that in the very near future. Thank you.